Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
In an interview, the interviewer and interviewee should talk about the topic at hand for viewers' sake. Interviews are conversations, and conversations depend on cooperation, acknowledging and encouraging each other to speak, showing that you care about what the other person says. So what does it look like when interviewees don't want to cooperate and show little or no regard for viewers or fans?
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
You've got two nice ones.
And they are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps.
This is the first sign that Blake and Parker are about to exclude the interviewer, Shasti, from their conversation. Intentionally, they make a big deal out of Shasti's remark about Blake's bump, as if it's one of the main topics, when it's merely an initial, cheeky, and irrelevant remark. She even called it a little bump. It's intentional because it allows Blake and Parker to set the agenda and later exclude Shasti from the conversation. Blake's accusatory repetition of Shasti's remark and Parker's vulgar response, in lack of a better term, show that they're testing Shasti, not unlike students in middle school, by the way. In that regard, their responses aren't only immature, but also intentionally over the line in a deliberate attempt to defy Shasti. Thus, it comes as no surprise that Parker reverses the roles in the following, asking Shasti,
"Do you like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?"
I love
with her vowel lengthening
Movie.
and facial expression that indicate a devaluation of Shasti. Parker shows all the signs of someone who's not interested in Shasti's answer. If Blake and Parker had had a friendly attitude, this could have been the beginning of an actual conversation, but it's not, far from it. Blake and Parker are determined to sabotage any hint of a conversation.
Do you like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
I love most of his movies, and this one was so visually amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And working in
Everyone
digital.
wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
I love Jesse's
He has
suits
some
and
beautiful.
how
That's what I'm saying. His wardrobe was beautiful.
I know.
Blake and
would.
Parker completely ignore that Shasti actually said that she would ask men about that. They're busier pretending to be slightly offended by a question that's more than fair, considering the conspicuous costumes in the movie. My life is so hard, I was asked a question about clothes. This isn't only forced and disingenuous, it also speaks to personality. Blake suggesting that the questions aren't good enough for her, which stems from a feeling of superiority, feeling better than the person she's sitting across, Shasti. Notably, Blake doesn't acknowledge Shasti's presence. First of all, she should be looking at Shasti, not Parker. Secondly, she says everyone and they, both of which don't refer to Shasti.
In
Everyone wants to
digital.
talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
Thirdly, she chooses not to ask Shasti directly about this. Instead, she simply presupposes it. Linguistically then, Shasti's excluded from her own interview. Funny how people who brand themselves as inclusive are always the least inclusive. It's only a question, so the fact that Blake immediately makes it about gender doesn't only speak to her biases, but also to what's become a hegemony, which means the winning discourse in large parts of the Western world. That the minute you feel resistance or don't like what someone's saying, it's because of bigger issues and not you. In other interviews, Blake doesn't mind talking about clothes.
What was the decision behind just some of the clothes? Because there was so much character. I mean, it's funny, actually, you're still dressed like Atlas, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, wardrobe is the way that I enter a character. If I feel like I'm dressed different than me, or that I'm expressing myself through wardrobe, because it's the way I express myself, or who I want to sort of project. So I felt like, Lily's wardrobe was really, really important to me. That it was both utility and then fabulous glam. It was masculine and feminine. It was old and new.
So basically, it was everything and therefore nothing. Blake's different responses show how fake and contrived her indignation that's become a hegemony is. It's not real indignation. It's a switch that she and many others turn on and off as they please.
and
That's what
how
I'm saying.
he
His wardrobe was
turns it-
beautiful.
Oh, I know,
Corey's
everybody.
wardrobe
I
was
know,
gorgeous.
he's
Those
so great.
high-waisted pants.
He's so great.
I wish men
I'm
wore
sorry,
high-waisted
too.
pants
I
like that
know.
still. Or
too.
the father with his tank top in
Oh,
bed.
it's so
Just
good.
like it's just like
Did you
that.
catch
You could
the,
feel
the
it.
tablecloth on the light in the Italian restaurant when they eat spaghetti?
I didn't
and
notice that. No.
But there's
So
so
I
much
feel like-
warmth of everything, you know.
Yeah, it's not just the women that have the clothes.
But
I feel like the women
Victoria-
get the conversation, but it's like
Yeah.
every detail with everybody.
But yeah,
It's so,
it was
so
amazing
beautiful.
to look at.
Beautiful. That's what I'm saying.
What does she mean? That's what I'm saying. Blake makes it sound like she made a statement, when in reality, Shasti just said that she would ask men the same question. Blake's so busy with her agenda, her forced indignation, that she can't let a thing like truth get in the way.
I feel like the women
Victoria-
get the conversation, but it's like.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
What was the decision behind just some of the clothes? Because there was so much character. I mean, it's funny, actually, you're still dressed like Atlas, I feel like.
But I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
In conversation analysis, there's a term called Transition Relevance Plays, or TRP for short. This is the point where it's appropriate for another speaker to start speaking, because the other speaker has completed their turn constructional unit, or TCU, which is when an utterance is completed, syntactically and or phonetically. Blake and Parker, however, act like they're too important for TRPs, with Blake making an effort to keep her gaze focused on Parker to let Shasti know that she doesn't want to look at her.
No.
There's
So
so
I feel
much
like-
warmth of everything.
No.
But there's
So I
so much.
On a surface level, it's simply immature. On a deeper level, it speaks to personality, a prominent sense of entitlement.
You know.
Yeah, it's not just the women that have the clothes.
Shasti didn't say that, and Blake knows it. Blake has to attack a straw man, otherwise she can't virtue signal. This is as deceptive as it gets.
And then to
Sleeves,
see
white
it-
suits.
Yes.
And then you notice in LA, like everybody's in cream colors and all the men are wearing like white and cream. And then you get to New York and it's a little bit more browns and moodier. And Susie really told such a story.
Yeah, amazing.
Alongside Vittorio, because it is a lot brighter and sunnier in LA, and New York has just a steaminess to it.
And I think, the whole Hollywood glam, it's so glamorous and everything.
Shasti has to cut in because by now she's probably realized that Blake and Parker act like they're above conversational rules. It's almost as if Blake makes an effort to be as long-winded as possible as she makes pointless and simple observations about clothes and the weather. She looks at Shasti once as if she's answering her question, which she's not, and knows she's not.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes? And I think, the whole Hollywood glam, it's so glamorous and everything. Can you relate to the things they were saying about Hollywood? It's so easy to get seduced by the fame and the money and the
Oh,
glamour.
you see it all the time. That was one of my favorite things about the movie, were the subtle turns to their own transition into like the ego of showbiz that Kristen has in that scene with Steve Carell.
With her question, Shasti actually shows that she's paid attention to the movie and what's been said about the movie. Still, Parker looks at Blake when she should be looking at Shasti. Shasti asks, but Parker explains to Blake. The irony is palpable. Shasti asked a question about getting seduced by fame and money, and Parker talks about the ego of showbiz, while Blake and Parker's entitled behavior is a testament to what happens to some people who are seduced by fame and money and have embraced the ego of showbiz.
And then with Bobby taking on the persona of a club owner, but still, like, these are things you do when you're an adult.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about choices. And then they carry this love, and it's just very, it's very grown up
It's neat to
and
see where
warm.
they
So what was it about this Bobby taking on the persona of a club owner? And what does that have to do with carrying love? How is this relevant? Maybe this is the reason for Parker's entitled behavior, because when it comes to making coherent, easy to understand interpretations, she's not quite as skilled. Parker's language suggests that she doesn't know what to say and or is uncomfortable saying it. with the expression "you know" appealing to alleged shared knowledge between all speakers. Parker shows that she's painfully self-aware,
and it's just
and her self-corrections indicate hesitation.
carry this.
So maybe she's not so confident after all.
What about my bomb?
Yeah,
very
it's
grown
neat
up
to
and
see where
warm.
they came from, though, and see how authentic these people truly are and what good people they truly are, too.
Yeah.
Because it's nice, and it's something that, that's the thing, as far as like relating to it personally, that you see, you have these ideas of people that you're fans of, and then you meet them and get to know them as a person, and oftentimes you're such a greater fan of them as a person than you are as the person that people feel like they know, and that's always that's always nice and refreshing when
Yeah.
when you see that.
Yeah.
See how authentic these people truly are. And
Authentic? I think I've heard this before.
It's about being authentic. So I just spoke from the heart, and that's probably why it doesn't look polished, and that's why it doesn't feel perfect, but that's also why it's authentic.
And the beautiful part about it is like this whole journey, as difficult as it's been, has just brought Will and I closer in such an authentic way.
It's always authentic people who say authentic. Wait. Judging by Blake's past statements and people's reactions to them, something tells me that most people wouldn't say that Blake's nicer in person.
what does that
5 years
mean?
of, well, in terms of trying, I mean, you apparently are not going to sing if you didn't think you can sing.
I sang
but,
in this movie.
well,
Did you
yeah,
see the movie?
I did see the movie, but I mean,
We're gonna give you a pop quiz.
you're
at the
going to be a
end.
We all remember Savannah.
There was another promise was no pet monkey. Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them.
She got a few of them.
Come on, it was a joke. Lord have mercy.
That was a lot of information about cages, and I'm sorry, I was still thrown off by that stuff.
Star Wars?
Wait, but by the way, you've been like, oh, I think you're the bigger Potter fan. I think you're the bigger Disney fan.
Oh.
I think you're the bigger. So like, what? What about me over here?
Blake appears to enjoy watching lower status interviewers get confused or embarrassed.
What do you feel like is the biggest misconceptions about fame and Hollywood in general?
I think the idea that people think that they know you, I think because of the how intrusive media is these days, there's people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work. So I think the biggest misconception I see often is people feeling like they know someone that they don't, because they know what the media has created of someone.
That's the standard response. Blame it on media. But it's not the whole truth, far from it. While it's true that there's an exaggerated and sometimes mean-spirited emphasis on the personal lives of celebrities, it's important to note that celebrities also use the very same media and media companies to promote their personal lives. Like Blake, they talk about balancing work and family. They pose for photos. They put up a facade on Facebook and Instagram, all of which they didn't have to, and all of which is fruitless for people who idolize them. It's all branding. It's not just media's fault anymore. With social media, it's never been easier for people to form their own opinion of everyone, including celebrities. So it's telling that it's someone like Blake who's saying this, someone many people, and not just media, have a negative opinion of.
And the disappointing thing is when you meet the people, they're always so much more awesome than they're portrayed to be.
Always.
But I mean,
We're gonna give you a pop quiz.
you're going to be a
I love the jacket throughout as well, which you're kind of sporting now. It's just amazing.
that is so true. That's why I'm so starstruck today.
Because I look like Alex.
There was a line. There was a line.
It's like Alex and Lily. It is. Like if they had a baby, it would be. Oh, I'm dying. See how authentic these people truly are. And congrats on your little bump clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes. And the disappointing thing is when you meet the people, they're always so much more awesome than they're portrayed to be.
But anything to keep living in the illusion that everyone thinks you're great and you can do no wrong, I guess.
And even people that are portrayed to be really great people, they're just a lot more complicated and interesting and nuanced and caring. And
So people have more nuances once you get to know them. Who would have thought?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Translation time. Talking to ordinary people is beneath me. Why do we have to do this? It's so exhausting. Parker's reaction isn't warranted by Shasti's innocent questions, so her reaction speaks to personality. The digital age allows for people to form their own opinion about celebrities and politicians. Yet old and outdated media institutions like The Guardian cling on to disingenuous standard explanations as excuses for bad behavior. Sarah writes, Lively became the internet's favorite villain for nearly a month. Her crimes included giving dismissive interviews, being badly dressed, too chipper, too rude, and most of all, annoying. With the word crimes, she's obviously being sarcastic, but at least she's acknowledging people's reservations. However, how does she explain these reservations? Or rather, how does she explain these reservations away? A man can do almost anything, but as long as a woman has done an inch of wrong, she will be the one that people eagerly, gleefully want to watch burn. With a woman, Sarah generalizes what's essentially a specific issue. It's about Blake specifically, not a woman, and certainly not all women. Sarah does exactly what Blake did, which speaks to the unfortunate hegemony I mentioned.
Working in digital.
Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
You know.
Yeah, it's not just the women that have the clothes.
But
I feel like the women
Victoria-
get the conversation, but it's like,
yeah.
Aside from Sarah's hyperbolic and dramatic tactics, her claim isn't substantiated. She claims that a man can do almost anything. The adverb almost, which is also a hedge, expressing uncertainty and equivocation, is the same as saying, I don't know this, but I'm writing this anyway, hoping no one will question it. And the dramatic understatement, an inch of wrong, is equally unsubstantiated and disingenuous. A new pattern is emerging where millions of people are professing to understand patriarchy, claiming they've interrogated its impulses, fully grasped how much society hates women, but will do little to challenge or combat it in practice. The intelligent reader would ask, how did we go from a discussion about Blake to a discussion about perceived patriarchy? Just because the word patriarchy exists, it doesn't mean it's the root of the criticism of Blake. There's no causal relation, but Sarah acts like there is, without arguing for it, which is a disingenuous move, same as claiming who society presumably hates. So when people are after Elon Musk, for example, that's misandry. This kind of argumentation is immature and illogical. To Sarah and many others in our zeitgeist, it's about making brave statements, pretend ideology over logic and truth every time. What do you think about this interview? Let us know in the comments. See you next time.